evening, ladies.
Good
evening. Welcome to the Gold Table Talk by Nerdy Gangsta. Can I get a woo woo? Woo!
All right.
Oh my God, I am so excited about today. This episode in particular because our focus today is specifically on not only business owners but women business owners. And not only that, we took it an extra step further. So I am truly honored to have the award winners from NABO, that's National Association of Women Business Owners. So we have women who have won as was the top women in business or top 10 women in business. So I am so honored. So can we get just a real quick toast just for that, just alone? Clink, 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 clink.
Did we do a woo-woo too?
Oh my goodness. So this is gonna be good. So I just want to let the people that are looking at this, okay, so if you have to use the bathroom, go get some popcorn, do that now because you are not going to want to leave your seats. This is going to be a good one. All right. So I always start off first and foremost, and I let people know what is the mission and the purpose of Nerdy Gangsta. So Nerdy Gangsta is a clothing line that my family and I started, and our mission is to one, show that being smart, but not only just being smart, but continuously seeking knowledge, growing, developing, that is such a cool thing. But not only that, we also want to inspire people to be innovative, to be bold, whatever your dreams, your passions are, just pursue them and use your talents to make a difference. You know, be a game changer. So that is our overall mission. So Nerdy Gangsta is what I call a lifestyle brand. So we have on our I Am Nerdy Gangsta shirts.
Yes. I love it. I was waiting for this.
But it is, I call these my positive affirmation shirts because this says, I am Nerdy Gangsta. I am fearless. I am a conqueror. No matter what comes my way, I am Nerdy Gangsta. And so that's what we are, and that's what we represent here today. I love the Gold Table Talk because it gives us an opportunity to show living, breathing examples of nerdy gangstas and how people are having to be nerdy gangsta in their lives, right? I often get asked, what is nerdy gangsta? What does that mean? Where did that come from? It actually started as a nickname that my daughter gave to me. And it was just started as she said, Mom, no matter what the circumstance, you just, whatever the challenge, you don't give up. You see the barrier, but you persevere right through it. She calls me nerdy anyway because I'm an engineer by trade, so
okay.
You know that's the nerdy part. But she said she gave an example from a couple of years ago, back in 2014, when my husband was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. And she said, you just, when the doctors gave Dad 6 months to live, you didn't waver. You just stood on your faith, and you just started reading, researching, finding things out, whether it was holistic treatments, alternative treatments, and you just sprung into action. You just made sure nothing, the girls, I have 2 daughters, had 4.0 GPAs, didn't miss a beat. So, long story short, 5 years later, he is still here. Yeah. Glory be to God. So, I say all that to say that, after that ordeal, we decided to start the clothing line because we wanted to inspire others to say, that was our story, that was our journey. But maybe you have something else going on in your life. You think you're traveling down path A, and then life just happens, and you end up going down path B. And in doing so, you discover sometimes your purpose. And so that's what happened with us. So I'm just so excited that we get the opportunity for you guys to kind of share your stories. Like, what are your nerdy gangster moments? You know, what did you have to encounter? What challenges did you have to overcome in order to accomplish your dreams? So that's what we want to talk about today. Now, because you all are women business owners, I think it is so pivotal because we are, I think, the cornerstone. When you look at America and even the world, what is the foundation? What is the cornerstone? Business. You have economy, the markets, everything is centered around business. And so, as I was just meditating and just trying to prepare for today. Like, okay, what do we wanna focus on? And I just kept hearing this. I just kept hearing hidden figures. And I'm like, okay. So of course, the first thing that came to my mind was the movie, obviously. So everybody saw the movie for the most part. Okay, so well, one, I could relate because I too used to be an engineer with NASA. So I was like, but as I looked at those women, and if you think about it, they were breaking down barriers. They were making history. They didn't recognize it at the time, right? They were just doing what they were called to do. But not only did they do that, but in the midst of that, they were encountering odds and circumstances that their male counterparts couldn't even fathom, right? I mean, they were underestimated. And as I started to kind of think about that, I was like, hidden figures. You hear about business, but do you hear people just like, ooh, women business owners? Do you hear them shouting that from the rooftops? Not necessarily so. No. But women business owners are the ones that are creating jobs, creating opportunities, providing valuable products and services. So when I say we are the cornerstone, we are truly the cornerstone. So, also as I was preparing for today, I was looking at a video, and it was from the Chief Regulatory Officer at AT&T. Her name is Joan Marsh, and I just want to kind of go through. She just listed some very interesting statistics, and I want to kind of tie that into what you all do. So she said, well, she first asked the question. She said, is the American dream still viable? And then she asked, what is the essence of America? Okay. So then she said, millennials feel like the modern economy is not working for them. They have mounting debt, and they feel like they'll be worse off than their parents. I was like, okay. So then she kind of went, now that we're in an election year, so she kind of went political, and she said, okay, I want to give two different views, one from the left, one from the right. So from the left, she cited a speech that Representative Joe Kennedy III, who is the grandson of Bobby Kennedy, he gave a speech at the Harvard School of Government. And the name of the speech was A Call to Moral Capitalism. So he talked about the mounting injustices of our modern economy. He called for capitalism to be judged not by how much it produces, but how broadly it empowers. Okay, that's the left. On the right, she cited Peggy Noonan, who was the special advisor to President Ronald Reagan. And she wrote an article in the Wall Street Journal. This was back in February. But her article was called Republicans Need to Save Capitalism. And she said, what voters see all around them is a cultural catastrophe. Drugs, the decline of faith, the splintering of all norms by which they've lived, schools that don't teach, and that leave their kids with a generalized anxiety. They want more help to deal with this, and we need a 21st century New Deal. And she went on to quote Senator Mitch McConnell, and he said, I can pretty safely say this is the first time in my political career that I thought the essence of America was being debated. In today's market, only 46% of U.S. households participate in the stock market. Now, we're at the tail end of the bull market since the recession of 2008, right? Minimum wage, $7.25 an hour, which is roughly $290 a week. And she said, we are seeing income inequality growing. So what do we do about that? So she said, okay, as I see it, there are 4 ingredients to being successful in America. Number 1, access to food. And she talked about the food and the hunger inequality. 49 million people struggle to put food on the table. Number 2, access to shelter. Per HUD, 550,000 people in the U.S. are homeless. 1/3 of youth under 23 are homeless. And approximately 40,000 veterans are homeless. Then she kind of said, okay, let's just look at just a city, just one city. So she looked at New York City. 63,000, just in New York City alone, are homeless. While hedge fund billionaire, with the B, Ken Griffin in New York bought a penthouse for $238 million. That's number 2. Number 3, access to opportunity, education, jobs, business. We see public schools underfunded, budgets are shrinking, teachers are striking, jobs, even though the employment rate is low, people feel underemployed. Business, sometimes there's issues in terms of getting access to capital. Okay. Number 4, access to justice. The U.S. jail population is 2.2 million. Now this is up from 200,000 back in 1972. And of that, the U.S. has 5% of the world's population, but nearly 25% of its prisoners. I was like, whoa. So I'm like listening to her, and I'm like, okay. So what is the answer? And as I start to ponder, and I thought about today, we are the answer, because we are the women business owners, right? We have the honor, we have the opportunity to provide access, opportunity, the homelessness, the food, all of that. We can help alleviate that as women business owners. And that's where this I Am Nerdy Gangsta comes in at, because regardless of what our struggles, what our challenges are, sometimes we think it's about us, and it's really not. It's about the products and services that we are offering and how that's helping the community, but also how we're providing jobs to the community so that people can have access to food, access to shelter, and things like that. So, that being said, that's why I have you guys here today. Because, it's kind of like you have your nerdy gangster moments, but that's where you gotta okay, gotta put my big girl panties on, and I just gotta keep the train moving. So, with that said, I want to talk about the foundation of business. And Ms. Bridget, I always say, when I give an example of when I think of a nerdy gangster, I always think of an attorney, because you think, okay, first of all, they're nerdy because They went to law school, they passed the bar. But when you want them to fight on your behalf, walk into that courtroom, you want them to be gangster. You want them to win your case, right? So I know you're not in court per se, but you do something that I think is so profound and really helping businesses, and particularly women in business, to make sure their affairs are in order, they stuff is tight, it's right, boom.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So can you just tell us a little about what you do and what's your story and what's your nerdy gangster moment?
Yeah, so
Hey, lady.
so what I do is it's interesting how I even came to this point, and it's so funny because it's how I met Pam. So I was an associate at a celebrity law firm here in Detroit, and then life pretty much happened to me, and got pregnant with my husband, and I got really, really sick to the point where I had to be hospitalized when I was about 4 months pregnant. They thought I was gonna die. They thought the baby was gonna die. They really wanted me to have an abortion, but I was just like praying on it. I was like, nah, I'm good. I felt good, but I guess the lab work wasn't looking good. So I'm like, I'm just gonna sit in this hospital on bed rest for a month, and so that's what I did. And so I had my daughter at 24 weeks. In 3 days, she was 1 pound 3 ounces. And then I got that phone call while I was in the hospital recovering from the emergency C-section, like, hey, your job is gone, right? So what do you do when you've built a certain lifestyle and, and you in bed? So I had my husband bring my laptop because I was already dabbling with the idea of starting my own business. I just kind of didn't know what direction I wanted to go in. And so that's what ended up happening with me, and I ended up starting my business, but I was trying to run from law. So for a couple years before I got to where I am now, I was trying to do leadership development, everything but law. I'm like, I'm tired. I don't want to go to court. And then it just kind of, I just started asking God instead of just running away from it. And I just really just created my own lane. And then I started looking at the need, because every time people would call me, it wasn't about leadership. It was like, Jay, I got this contract. I don't know if it's right. I need to protect this trademark. And I'm like, I told y'all I don't want to do law. Quit calling me, but they're like, you're good. I'm like, oh my goodness. So I prayed on it, and then I started figuring out what area of law I wanted to be in. And what I noticed is that women business owners, because at the time it wasn't women business owners I was primarily working with. And so I was like, I really need to help women, because I feel like when they're in rooms with money, they don't understand certain terms, and I feel when they're at the table with men, they get taken advantage of because they don't understand certain legal terms. So what I do is I deliver the legal and business strategies to help women entrepreneurs protect their assets. And after we protect them, I show you how to make more money, because I don't want you to spend all this money getting a trademark or a contract and you don't do anything with it. Let's figure out how to franchise it. Let's figure out how to license this intellectual property. Let's figure out how to certify it, so you can create more jobs in your state. And so that's pretty much a little bit of what I do now, and expanding a little bit more into government work as well. But that's the scope of what I do right now.
Wow. That's good.
Wow.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Yeah.
And you saw me when I was fresh. I was a baby. Straight out of law school.
Yeah, wow. Long way. So proud of you.
Thank
so
you.
proud of you.
Wow.
And your baby too.
Thank
Your
you.
baby's not a baby anymore.
But I like how you talked about that life happened. Like, that's not what you thought you were going to do.
No. Absolutely. If you would ask me a couple years ago, did I want to be an entrepreneur? No. Because I'm type A personality, so I need to know what my plan is. I need to know my next step. And entrepreneurship is not, you don't know your next step. It's like, you don't know what you're going to eat. You don't know if your house is about to get foreclosed, or you don't know if your husband's going to leave you because you at your computer. You just don't know. And so that was really entrepreneurship, and it was such a hard thing for me, and I really, really had to lean into God for that, because honestly, I was trying to do it all by myself, and it was not working out. I was getting frustrated. I think I quit my business like probably 50 million times till now. But every time I say I'm quitting, somebody's calling me like, hey, Rashad, I got this big project for you. I'm like, I'm trying to quit. Leave me alone. But that's entrepreneurship. And for me, it just doesn't go with my personality, even though I like helping people. But I need stability. But here I am, and guys will provide. And we're here.
That's awesome.
Wow.
Yes.
Isn't that awesome?
Yes.
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 And then when she talked about, not only does she, get them set up with trademark and all of that, but you said you allow them to be able to scale and expand.
Yes. And that's what makes me so different from other attorneys, because some attorneys, they just focus on the legal stuff. Like, they want to charge you billable hours, and so I try to make it affordable. Like, so I call them projects. Like, what is the project? Because I've been doing this for so long now, I can do a trademark in my sleep, so why would I charge you, you know?
Right.
But some attorneys don't operate like that. And then also, I don't want you just to pay to get a trademark. I want you to understand what is a trademark. How does this protect you if you see someone using it or throw this on a t-shirt? A lot of people pay for these things and they do not even understand what it is that they have. They don't understand the value of it. And so my goal is to educate and empower women to be in charge of their assets. And so they can, if you don't want to be in business anymore, you want to go into another direction, you can sell it. But you can't sell it if it's not protected and you don't know the value of it. So that's pretty much what I do.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, so if you think about it, okay, so once you get, everything, all your affairs in order, right? So, and coming from the engineering world, and I've worked in telecommunications for almost 23 years, we know that innovation is really key, right? Because things are constantly evolving, things are changing, not only just for the consumer, but for the business owner and the tools that they need to be able to, operate their business efficiently. So when I heard about Kiera's business and her chargeback, immediately it's like, my little radar went up. And, so I'm thinking technology, innovation, and, being in mobility and telecommunications. I was so intrigued by your company, and just the story behind how it got started was even more intriguing. So can you tell us a little bit about your company and what you do in your Nerdy Gangsta moment?
Okay. Well, just like she said, I would have never thought in a million years that I would own a technology company by any stance of the imagination. And me and my husband, our family, we were in Texas, and I had an insurance agency, and I got a call one day from my mom, who was like, "Oh, I have they found like a lump on my breast, but I don't think it's really gonna be anything. God got this. It's okay." I'm like, okay, I believe that, the Lord can heal, or it will turn out to be nothing. And so she ended up, so I asked her, I said, "So how did everything go? Was it okay?" She was like, "Oh, all is well, everything was great." And I'm like, okay, just left it at that. And then I get a call, I think from my sister, maybe 6, 7, or probably a little bit longer, was like, "Yeah, I got something to tell you. Our mom has breast cancer. She's not doing well, and I think you need to come back to Michigan." And I was like, "Okay, are you sure?" I was like, "Well, I could just fly back." She's like, "No, I think you need to come back. And I'm like, she's like, "I don't think she has that much longer to go. We're just going to believe the Lord." And I'm like, "Wait a minute." I talk to her every day. Like, "What do you mean you don't think this or that?" And, she just didn't tell me at all what was happening. And my mom was a pastor, whole congregation, head pastor, and she didn't say anything about it. And I'm like, okay. So I had about less than a month to sell my business, get out of our apartment. We were actually in the process of getting a house built. We had to sell all of our businesses, just everything, and we moved back up here with nowhere to go. And so we stayed with my dad, and my mom was in the hospital. 2 months after I moved back, she passed away. So I was like, okay, I was not expecting that. And so I just started praying. I was like, well, what are we supposed to do? What's next? Because we done got rid of all of our businesses. We done picked up our whole life. She's not here. Can I go back to Texas? Because I don't want to be here.
Right.
I want to go back to Dallas. The Lord was like, no. That was a reason why you came, but that's not the whole picture. And so, right after she passed away, about a week or two later, I found out I was pregnant, and I was like, "Oh no, what's happening here? Like, this is not my life." I'm like, me and my husband did not want any more children. We already have 4, and our youngest one at the time was like 9, and we were like, we're not doing it. So, but I was like, okay. So we just were kind of praying and seeing what was going on and what we should do next. But one of the things that we found and how we got into ChargeBot, which is we created unique cell phone chargers that are cordless and pre-charged that you can take, like a power bank, but it's different because it has a technology in it. Is when you plug it up, it automatically starts powering your phone, and when you unplug it, it automatically powers off. And then you're able to take it with you, and then it goes directly into your phone and does not require a cord like all of your other chargers do.
And it's cute.
And it's really cute. People love the look of it. They absolutely love the look of it. And we also then created our own smart vending machine company to be able to put it into public places. But we came about that is because my phone, and I'm sure if I looked at it right now, is always dying. It's forever dying. And my family teases me all the time, like, I'm so tired of you and your phone and never keeping it charged. I say, well, I'm not the only one. Right. And my husband was driving. Exactly. And my husband drives or was driving for Uber and Lyft. And people always get in his car, like, do you have a charger? Wow. And we're like, okay, what can we do to solve this issue? And that's kind of how it came about. So it really wasn't that, oh, we're just into technology and this is what was happening. We had a vending machine company in Texas. We said, well, how can we take a vending machine company here and then create something where people can actually use it while they're on the go? So that's kind of how ChargeBot Minority Gangsta was. All of the stuff that was happening in the midst of it, just dealing with, with my mom and having another baby, and she'll be 2 next week, actually. Yes. She stole my birthday, by the way.
Oh, wow.
She came on my birthday.
On your birthday.
Oh, yes. Awesome. No.
She would have had to go back. Like, this is my day.
Yeah, right. She was 11 days late. So, yeah, she took her time. She was 11 days late, and I was in the hospital in labor for 3 days.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, so.
Wow.
Yeah.
You were gonna have a girl. When you told me you were pregnant, I knew you were gonna have a girl.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, because it was like the cycle of life. Your mom passed, and when she grows up, I'm sure she's gonna have like her.
Oh, she already has like her.
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
So it's kind of crazy, but yeah, that's my story.
It's an awesome story.
Yes.
I want to know the charger. I just bought one because I'm that girl.
I actually have it, but
I need one. My phone is forever
so
dying.
you guys can follow me on the ChargeBot
I think we
on
found each other.
Instagram
The charge
or Facebook or Twitter, LinkedIn. We're on all platforms,
Okay.
but it's the ChargeBot, and it looks like a little speaker, so it's pretty cool.
How much do they run?
They're $20, and
So super reasonable.
Absolutely.
yes, so
And
they're
it's
like
cute. I want to see.
So we have them in pink and we have them in black, so that's what it looks like there.
That's
And they're
adorable.
small, so it literally fits in your phone like that. So that way you don't have to worry about it.
Oh, I like that.
Looks like a lipstick.
Yeah,
that's
good.
yeah.
That's
Okay.
Yeah, we get that a lot. It's like, oh, look like
Super
lipstick.
cute,
Sure.
yeah.
That works for me. Just
Yeah.
buy it.
Love
But
it.
it's compact, it's not
Yes.
bulky.
And it's super lightweight.
Yes.
It's very, very lightweight. You won't even realize that it's in your phone. So you get to keep going. You're not tied down with one hand holding your charger while it's connected to the cord and this like this. You're not hands-free. Like
Right.
now you're just regular talking and your cord isn't being weighed down and things like that. So yeah, I love it and it's fun. It's a really good fun business.
Well, I'm always losing my cord too,
See?
so that's really frustrating.
Yeah.
Which cord goes with this phone and not the computer? And so I'm excited. I have an attorney friend.
Exactly.
I was like, we technology girl.
Yes.
Love it.
Yes. Oh my God, that is such a phenomenal story, and
Yeah.
because that is the epitome of nerdy gangster. Like you said, you thought everything was good. You were in Dallas, everything was great. You
Right.
come, you thinking, okay, I'm just coming. you like you said, that wasn't even in your mind.
It's
Like,
not.
yes.
Yeah, especially when like everything was just, we were
Oh, yeah.
finally like, man, life is like on
Yes.
cruise control now. We'd have been through some stuff, and we finally got some breathing room to breathe, and then it was like, oh wow, you know.
What's that saying? If you ever want to make God laugh,
Tell him you're playing.
tell him you're playing.
I thought he finally heard mine. So like, he had something bigger and better, and I'm very thankful for it.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much,
Absolutely.
Kiera. So I was like, okay, so we got the foundation, we get our affairs in order. We got innovation, we offering, valuable products and services. So people got to know about us, right?
Yeah,
They say, if you build it, they will come. No.
That's
so
Never
No.
true.
If they don't know you exist.
Exactly.
So, Miss Pam Perry over here, Miss PR coach extraordinaire.
Brand like a superstar.
She will let them know. Yes, we are here. We are fierce and watch out.
Yes.
So, Miss Pam, tell us about your nerdy because you're just straight up nerdy gangster.
I just posted on Facebook, Nerdy Gangsta, and I thought I was doing live for you, and it wasn't going live. Like connection was whatever. But anyway, well, Ministry Marketing Solutions is my company, and it started in 2000. And it wasn't like I decided I wanted to do Ministry Marketing Solutions. I was actually the public relations director of the Salvation Army. Got pregnant, had my daughter, had our daughter.
Babies.
Yeah. And my husband had a company called Perry Marketing Group. So I was like, you could go back to the Salvation Army and be the PR director, which I love the work. The Salvation Army, keyword salvation. It's a church. So I market the church, the brand of the Salvation Army. You see the red shield, the red kettle. I mean, it's branding that's really on steroids, right? And it was real easy to really do PR for that. And it's just really good telling stories. Anyway, so I really loved it. But I had a daughter, and so my life changed. And Mark was like, well, you could work with me, Perry Marketing Group, but they do automotive advertising. I said, well, I can come in and be a VP of public relations. So I got a promotion. I'm like VP, but I got no salary, right? Wow. It was like you just gonna be here, because I was kind of like stay at home mom and that sort of thing. And anyway, so I was doing some stuff from home, and I got like for the companies. I didn't really enjoy the work. He worked with Chrysler, Ford, and GM. I did it, but I didn't really enjoy it.
Right.
It wasn't what lit my
Your passion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a few years, so I was trying to bring in different clients. I remember I brought in Daryl Ford, and I brought in like some different nonprofits I was working with, and it was like, how is this fitting? You're working with these churches, you're working with these speakers, you're working with these pastors, and it's like we're working with Ford, GM, Chrysler, and all the automotive suppliers. And so I'm really like, this time that what the internet's going on, and I'm doing inspirational quotes and doing newsletters. I think I started American Christian Writers. I mean, I was still trying to do what he asked me to do, but then I was always swaying. So eventually, the economy tanked with automotive suppliers. He worked with a lot of the black automotive suppliers, National Association of Black Automotive Suppliers. It was his client at Being Steel and all that, So whenever the economy has like a hiccup, black suppliers, black automotive suppliers, they suffer, and so his company suffered, and so he went out of business. Went out of business. At this time, my daughter is less than a year, and he doesn't have a business. I ain't got nothing because I don't even have a salary, right? I just like got a title, and I'm like, oh my God.
VP.
And VP, right? And he had a staff and all this kind of stuff. They had no respect for me because it's like, you are just his wife. When you coming in here, we've been here for 5 years. You coming here, VP. Anyway, so the business tanked, and I just remember one day walking down the hall, and I was like, what am I going to do? And I ran into TJ Hemphill, and I don't know if anybody knows TJ Hemphill, but TJ Hemphill happened to be in the building at the time. And I said, he did the play called Peerless Times. Peerless Times have been going for years and years, and it's a really big gospel play. And I said, you know, our business is going out of business. You know, it's good to meet you. I said, but we're going to be gone. it's like, really? What are you going to do? I have no idea. What's your background? I do PR. He says, well, I need someone to do PR for my plays at the Fisher Theater. And he says, can you help me with it? Bam, we did it. We were on every TV station. We did newspapers. I was like, it just lit me up. Wow. And I met his wife, Christina. And Christina, at the time, said to me, she says, you know what, you are really, really good at what you do. I was like, I do it in my sleep. She said, it's like you really do marketing for ministries. And it's stuff, Ministry Marketing Solutions. And that's when it birthed. And that was it. And so Mark was like, so how am I going to fit in with this? And I was like, I don't know. You need to go get a job or something. I was like, I know what I'm called to do. You know, it's like, I know what I'm doing. And every once in a while, I was trying to get him to work in that, but he wasn't called to do that.
Yeah.
I did chocolate pages and tried to bring Christian
remember that.
Yeah, and it just wasn't, he just couldn't, you know. So he went on and worked in advertising and worked on Ford. He went worked for a black agency and worked on Ford. But for me, I started working with churches. I worked with Greater Grace, Word of Faith, Straight Gate, all kind of Christian. Worked with TDJs, whatever. But it wasn't. It's kind of like you. At a certain point in time, no one was doing ministry marketing. Every week it seemed like I wanted to quit. I was like, oh, this is just too hard. They don't understand. They don't understand how to pay. It's like I'm like explaining my profession and trying to do the job as well as explain what I do. And because they didn't understand marketing, why they needed to market, why they had to get on Facebook, why they have to, you know, at this time, it was like, that's from the devil. I was like, no, it's not. Facebook is a good thing. This is where your congregation is hanging out. You know, you got to be where the fish are, you know. So anyway, so it's just this whole thing. So eventually over time, it's been 19 years. I really have involved in terms of trying to keep up and stay relevant. I started a magazine, Speakers Magazine, which really showcases my client, and Christian events, women empowerment events, all kind of things. So, you know, it's just podcasting and that sort of thing. So you got to stay relevant. And even though I started like initially doing PR, I don't really do PR anymore. I help people build like their online platform so they can shine online. That's really what I do.
I like that. Shine online.
Like that. On Facebook.
Yes. But okay, so I'm thinking that word shine. You know that saying that people often see the shine, but they don't see the grind.
No.
Right?
That's true.
That's true. That's
true.
very true.
Yes, and you it was a grind, but it was a labor of love. That was your calling.
Yeah.
That's what you were passionate about. Because like you said, when you were working with your husband, you were probably like boring.
It was like being still, really?
Yes. But and then too, like what you're saying, initially they weren't as receptive to social media and things of that nature. But so you just kind of pushed it, you know, got them there, had them to evolve. I love that.
My authors, I remember, because it was so long ago, I mean, they were like, I gotta get on MySpace. I'm like, yes, you have to get on MySpace. You gotta get that.
MySpace.
That was the HTML code on MySpace for it. Right. It was like really crazy. But yeah, that was the thing. You have to be there. And authors and speakers, if they have a message, I'm called to help people who want to have empowering messages. I empower them to empower others. So that's really like the main thing. So if you have a message that you really feel you're called to deliver, then I'm your girl. That is it. So we'll figure it out. Now, if you just want to be famous to be famous, I'm not your girl, because I don't do divas and all that stuff. But only if you want to help people, then I can help you. Yeah.
Absolutely. And that's what, you know, we were talking about earlier, empowerment, right? And that's what I'm hearing just around this table, empowerment. And that's what it's about. I mean, I think we as women, like, we just innately, I mean, because, you know, we're moms, we just have that nurturing spirit, you know, because we want to see others empowered. We want to see others succeed. Absolutely. Yeah. Oh my goodness, this is so good. I love it. Okay, so we got foundation over here, getting your affairs in order. We got innovation over here. We got Miss Pam that's just gonna let everybody know, gonna help market, PR, just set you right, make sure people know what you're doing. You're on point, right? Okay. Now, while you're doing all of that, you gotta look good, right? Okay. You gotta have.
She does. You all do.
Yes. Hair, nails, makeup. You know, you just gotta be on point. So, Miss Jackie Ann over here
Yes.
with the nails. Oh my God! And you know, when you think of people getting their nails done, I know for me, I actually had a cousin, and she was in her early 20s. Went to get her nails done, and whatever chemicals they used, I think they pushed her cuticle back too far, and the chemicals got in her bloodstream. She got an infection. Went to the doctor. You know, he gave her antibiotics. You know, she thought everything was good. Then one day she was like, you know what, I just don't feel right. Went to the hospital and she passed away.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So
From the blood infection?
from the infection, just from getting her nails done.
Right.
So ever since then, like I have not gotten my nails done at all.
That could be
Wow.
sticky.
It just it freaked me out.
Yeah.
And like I said, she wasn't like, you know, 50, 60. No, she was like early 20s. Yeah. So when I found out about your product, I was just turning backflips.
Yeah.
Because
Me too.
it's something that, you know, it's not invasive. There's no chemicals involved.
Chemicals.
Yep.
Yeah,
So
those are beautiful.
tell us
My
about
gosh.
it.
Okay, so I don't even know how I am where I am because this was not in my plan. I am an educator by trade, busy mom with 3 boys in travel sports, and I was the salon girl that went to go get my nails done because as an educator and facilitating meetings, I always wanted to look professional, and the salon nails made me feel pretty and confident. I also did not get along well with wet nail polish. You know, I mean, it was like I would put it on, and I would buy the really pretty blue color, and I would need 10 coats to get it to the color I thought I purchased, and watch Grey's Anatomy for 3 episodes to make sure it was dry, and then go to bed to wake up the next morning with it smudged. So that's why I went off to the salon. Well, 15 years later, I started thinking, gosh, I don't know that I want to continue to be an educator for the rest of my life. I don't know what I'm going to do next. But if I want to tell my husband I want to retire, if he only knew that I was spending $700 or more a year on nails, how could I continue to do that? I never even put it together. Like, wow, $35 every 2 weeks for them to fail me too. You know, they were cracking, they were, popping off, and all of that. So, my life changed when my son, so here I am an educator, I'm kind of skipping stories here, but I was an educator and my son became ill. So he, when he was a senior in high school, started acting different. We couldn't explain his behavior changes, and when I was planning his graduation party, and I couldn't find him. He wouldn't stay home. He was missing. His behavior was just different. So we had to cancel his graduation party. And, that was traumatic because how do I explain to my family and friends that the firstborn scholar athlete kid is nowhere to be found? I was filing missing person reports, didn't know where he was. So in September then, finally during the course of that summer, and here I am, I'm going to go back to school in the fall, we found out that he was just sick with addiction and he could not stop using drugs. So while my friends were taking their children to college campuses and posting online, I'm so sad, I'm crying buckets, I'm leaving him here or her here at this campus, I was like, God bless, I feel your pain, but baby girl, my son's dying, and I'm taking him to a detox facility. But I was so filled with such shame that I couldn't speak it. And I went back to work that fall, hiding and grieving and going to the salon. So during the course of maybe that 1 month with that intense grief, I was no longer me. I was lost. I was grieving, and I thought, I can't live like this any longer. So I started researching miracle mind shifts and power of positivity because I couldn't stand that negative energy. I didn't like being that toxic person. I could sense that I was pushing people away with my addiction to my son's addiction because I was going to fix him.
Codependent.
Yeah, so I was going to fix him, and I couldn't fix him no matter how hard I tried. So through a few authors like Wayne Dyer, Gabby Bernstein, just recently Mo Gaudet from Google X, I was eating up their information on the power of the thought and mind shift. So then I started not only just attending Al-Anon for people who love someone suffering with addiction, I felt like there was more. I didn't like being in that support group alone and not being part of a solution. So I was looking for, where do I take what I know in this pain and how do I help others? And I found this nonprofit organization where I started volunteering, and it's called Families Against Narcotics. So I started just attending, working, raising my boys, going to the salon, and serving others. You know, I was volunteering in this nonprofit. And during the course of that time, my son's addiction got worse and worse. So I actually did have to leave him at the Salvation Army.
The Harbor Light. Harbor Light.
No, it was
ARC.
actually, we've been to a few. This one was in Detroit, actually. He was at the Detroit and got kicked out. Many homeless shelters, prison, jail, emergency rooms, overdoses. I mean, it was 7 years of chaos. But through that darkness, I was able to find light, and that is my mission. And so during a rally on the state capitol grass, there I was. We're going to change lives. I'm going to get trained in Narcan. We are going to empower people, and we are going to save lives. My girlfriend kind of screamed out loud because she saw me with naked nails for the first time ever, because I hadn't seen her in a few months, and she's like, "Oh my God, what's going on? Where?" You know, I'm like, "I'm clothed, I'm good." But I had soaked off my nails because I was just tired of it. She slapped these amazing little nail strips on me in seconds while I was putting coins in the street parking the meter, right? And I had this super cute manicure in seconds. We then crossed the lawn, and there she put them on me in the grass on my painted toes. And I was like, "You're a little nutty. I love you," but and I was shocked. So in seconds, I had this super cute salon-looking manicure. So we went along with our business that day, and she said, "I want you to be a founding stylist in this new company." And I'm like, "Psh, I know nothing about what you're talking about, and I have no interest. No, thank you. I'm a mom. I'm busy. I'm an advocate. You know, I've got kids in sports. I don't need that." So lo and behold, the next day I wake up and I'm like, "These are pretty cute. This solves my problem. This solves my salon problem. And I'm going to have super cute nails that are going to make me feel pretty and confident." So I bought the kit. Knew nothing about multi-level marketing or direct sales at all. I was just a crazy person who loved the polish, and I was so passionate about helping women save time and money and feel pretty that I was walking around the world with this like pizza box, but it was my polish box. And I was slapping samples on everybody, and within 2 months I won top sales in the company. I had no intention of doing that. I was just really loving making people feel pretty and saving time and money and solving problems. And then where did it go from there? The really neat thing was my company, not my company, but the company I represent, Color Street, asked for testimonials. And I beat myself up for a couple of months thinking, no one said, "Hey, I think your story is worth something. You might want to share it." So I thought, I shouldn't say anything. But then after beating myself up, I thought to myself, if I don't do this, I'm going to just be mad at myself. So I wrote the testimony. Not only did they accept it, they asked me to speak it on stage in Vegas in front of over 2,000 people.
Oh my God.
And it was remarkable. And
Wow.
it's there, thank you, that I was able to say, may I say that statement? I hope I don't cry, but I said to the girls, well, here the company knew me only as this person who has a face in a catalog, for winning that award, or being top sales. But my mission was to say, this is a sisterhood, because I started my speech with, hi, Mom, it's nice knowing you. I just swallowed a bottle of pills. And then I was sharing with the ladies in the room that Color Street has provided me an opportunity to serve others. And the sisterhood in this industry is more powerful than anything I've ever experienced. So it's truly changed my life. So thank you for letting me share that story. We're all like, oh.
That was nice.
Aw, thanks.
How's your son?
He is incarcerated, so he is going
He's
to be.
clean.
We don't know. Everybody, people would like to think that everyone's safe and clean in prison, but in fact, that might be my next level of service someday is prison reform, because there's a lot of work to do.
Oh, they can get it in there.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Cell phones, everything.
All kinds of stuff.
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So.
Everything.
But here's some good news.
They should know where he is.
We do, and with the power of the internet, I have really been able to build really amazing relationships with people. I mean, we have such an amazing support. So when I share my story about my son, he's an artist that we didn't know he had the ability. And so when he draws things that are, he's turning these drawings into gifts for people. And then I take pictures of them and the comments, and I send them off to prison so he can see them, because he can't see them either, so there's been a lot of light in this darkness, and you have the ability to choose, and so every day I wake up with gratitude. Every day I wake up thinking, I am blessed, we have hope, we have breath. And sister, if you walk through fire, I'm going to pour that water on you and with you. We are not alone.
That's right.
Yeah. So thank you guys.
He's like a hand artist? Like,
Yeah.
And you didn't know he was?
No. And so I have one girlfriend who just had asked if Jake would draw an eagle for her husband for Father's Day, way back like months ago. And I'm like, it's going to be in prison paper. Like, really? Do you really? It's going to be on folded in a trifold to fit into a business envelope. Really? You want that for your husband for Father's Day? She said yes. And so she had it turned into a canvas and then framed and presented it to him, her husband. And I mean, it's just this amazing community of women supporting women and families and changing lives. So, yeah, there's hope.
It is. When he gets out, he can do tattoos.
I
No.
know. And
It's
you know what I
better
was
than that.
thinking?
There's a guy who recently just got out of prison, did like 20-something years, and he actually was an artist. And he had his first art gala, and it was all over the news. It was everywhere, and he sold about, I want to say, close to $1 million worth in drawings. So yeah, and he told his story about the things that he went through, how he ended up in prison. He learned that he can draw. He was sending out drawings. I mean, beautiful artwork. So yeah, this was probably maybe about 3 weeks ago or so. So it's very, very current. Very current.
Yeah.
So,
I love that. Thank you.
because I mean, jail doesn't define you. It's just it's just an obstacle, and you
Just this season.
Yep.
Aw.
Right on past
Thank
that.
you.
Absolutely.
But you know what I'm hearing is that like you said, that's a season, but it's helping him to find his calling, and find himself.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
Because I really did try to jam that little square peg into that round hole.
Right.
And I was like, you're going to be that private school, college kid, that athlete,
Right.
right? You're going to make the world a better place.
He
Boy,
was-
did
he
God
said-
laugh at me.
He was
Right?
an
He
artist.
can take
Yeah.
that story and make the world a better
Yeah.
place.
Absolutely.
We
Yeah.
have an idea of what we want our
Yes.
children to have or our relatives, and then God, like I said, has a whole nother plan. And a lot of times our tests be our testimonies, and because of what he's went through, he'll be able to help other people to come from out of that. So someone who, like, I might have been in private school and played sports, and you think that makes your life, but certain things happen, and you are called to something even greater than that. So it's just coming out with him to be able to help even the more people. So I just think you'd be surprised.
Yeah, I'm excited, and I guess the last thing I would want to share is that that opportunity for me to speak gave me such a sense of confidence that I now wake up every day thinking, who's gonna lose if I don't win? Who is going to lose because I'm not sharing this opportunity, this polish, this party, this business opportunity? And so I just feel very blessed to have been given this opportunity.
Okay, Miss Jackie, I may have to steal that. Who's gonna lose if I don't win?
That's a statement.
That's very powerful.
It's your winning season.
And it's a way to think about things
It
in a more positive way.
Absolutely. Yes. And who knows? I mean, like you said, you discovered your advocacy, and he could discover that too, when he gets out, and you two could do that together.
Wouldn't that be a dream?
Absolutely.
That is boy, how dreams change.
Uh-huh.
I mean, really, I'm thinking if I could have my kid who's all tatted up and it's on his face sitting right here next to me, I'd be like, you are a bad, you know what?
Nerdy Gangsta.
Yeah.
Nerdy.
Yeah, but there is a little bit of more good news, and that is that my second son, Jake's younger brother, is now 8 months sober. So he was in college. He was a college athlete. He was the hockey player, the captain of the team, and he surrendered and said, "Mom, I need help. I can't stop."
Wow.
So Jake's story is going to continue. We're not done. We're not done. So.
That
Thanks,
is
girls.
good. That is good.
Didn't I tell y'all this was gonna be? Y'all thought I was joking. No. Oh my God. I just, again, I keep hearing empowerment, and it's just so, because you, like I said, you don't know, we think it's about us, we think it's our situations, but it's not. It's never. No. Oh my goodness. Oh.
You said empowerment, and so one of the things I see oftentimes is we don't see a lot of true sisterhood, especially in business. And as I was sitting here and listening to the theme empowerment, but it's not enough to feel warm and fuzzy. You have to get out there and do some work, like serve.
Yes.
And finding ways to serve through your business, whether it's volunteering your time, whether it's taking time out to speak with someone, sharing your story. I just feel like we have to shift away from this warm and fuzzy feeling like, okay, let's go to brunch, but where's the work? How did me eating these pancakes help someone, It didn't help my rolls, but I'm just saying, and I just think that's the new paradigm shift that I'm starting to see with a lot of business owners, and I would like to see more of it amongst us women in business, because we all need mentors, even, I'm an attorney, I still need a mentor, I still need someone to guide me, mentor mentally, spiritually, and it could be different ones, it doesn't have to be one person, and I just think that's where we need, far as empowerment, not just to say high five, woo woo, but to actually take action. Oh my.
And people can either learn by mistakes or mentors. I choose
Absolutely.
mentors.
Me too.
Absolutely.
Please.
I do not want to make any more mistakes. It's like, give me a mentor.
Yes. Actually, you know what? That was right on point and right on time as we segue to Miss Yolanda, because that is what she is doing, right? So she provides that space. So if you're thinking of starting a business and you don't have an office, you don't have the capital, you're trying to keep your overhead low, she provides that for you.
Yes.
Conference room, podcast room,
Yes.
whatever
Book
you
signing
need.
room.
Book
Yes.
signing room.
I definitely just did
We just did our book
Yeah, we
signing.
just did. This is actually my co-author.
Yeah.
We did a book
Ooh.
together, so.
That's why I said that.
Yes,
Uh-huh.
yes,
Yeah.
So
yes.
tell us about your nerdy gangster story.
Well, I actually was brought up as a nerdy gangster. So my parents was actually entrepreneurs. And so me, I consider myself as the big corporate baby. And after a while, the corporate world kicked me out when the economy went down. And at this time, my daughter probably was 5 or 6. And I'm a single parent. So I was trying to figure out what to do. I was making a good income. We was living pretty well for ourselves. So, with unemployment, you're like $700 every 2 weeks, So I couldn't do too much with that, So I ended up going to do door-to-door sales, business sales. Remind you, my degree is in accounting and business management. I used to work for Wayne County and I worked for Quicken Loans Rock Financial. So now I gotta go do door-to-door sales. So, well, basically, because I did door-to-door sales, that's what got me to where I am today. They had a technique they actually used with door-to-door sales, how to make all your sales. We used to have to get these Disney products and pile them up in your car, pick a location, and literally go business to business. So we use this technique to speak to people and how to make the sale. And I end up selling out my vehicle every single day. Okay. So my dream as a little girl was to always have my own salon. And I don't even do hair. But I wanted to do the marketing and advertising for the company because on the side, regardless of my corporate job, I did t-shirts and business cards and flyers for people. So I wanted my salon. So one day in the process of me going door to door doing business sales, I ran into a barbershop and I sold him all my stuff. So we got to talking. I was telling him how I liked the salon and all of this stuff. He called me later on and asked me he wanted to add braiders into his salon. So I took a couple of weeks to thought about it. Long story short, I ended up leaving that company and going into his company and running his whole business. He was at the time only doing $700 a month. Before I finished, he was doing $700 a day in sales. Yes.
Whoa.
So over maybe the next couple of years, I did that for probably like 2 years. And he just refused to pay me correctly, and I had this child. So I told him he didn't respect it. So it was during income tax season. I went to go file my taxes. I didn't get that much back. I probably got about $2,000. I took $1,000 and I started my 24-hour hair braiding salon. So we started with $1,000. To this day, we make over $275,000 a year, and I hire over 25. I have a staff of over 25 braiders in my salon. So I go into the community and I take people natural gifts and their skills and have them use it to their ability without depending on the corporate world. Okay, all of my ladies are able to keep their household up, make sure their bills are paid. They all have vehicles, they all have cars, they're able to take care of their families. So it was important to me as a corporate baby that you take your natural born talent and be able to use it to your ability where you don't have to deal with the corporate world if you don't need to. So that's how I got started. In the midst of me building my company, which is My Sisters and Me 24-hour hair braiding, I ran into a lot of people just, how do you do it? How do you do it? My biggest fear going in was that the what they call it, the stigmatism of most businesses don't last 2 years and this and that. So I created this policy in my head, no excuses, only results. And I built my business off of no excuses, only results. I worked so hard day in and day out of making sure that anytime you go on the internet and you're looking for hair braiding that you seen us. I did that for 6 years I turned around and I was like, hey, I guess I could relax now. You know, because I'll go to bed 5 o'clock in the morning, got to get back up at 8, take my daughter, and just do that for almost 6 years straight. You know, but I did such a great and amazing job. I kind of forgot to say thank you to myself. You know, I ended up getting calls from, in my 4th year, I got a call from, I believe it was Essence Magazine. In 2010, we got a call, and they wanted to do an article on us. Okay, and then Vote for the Best. I was Vote for the Best, #1 hair braiding salon for 6 years in a row.
Oh, that's
Wow.
incredible.
2017, Facebook contacted me, and they want to be on a Facebook panel in Cobo Hall. So,
Wow.
so basically, when you think something so bad happened, I thought that was the most horrible thing that could happen to me. Me lose my job. I'm a single parent. I have this child to take care of, and to this day, now, I just became an author. My newest baby is this podcast room. My second newest baby is the co-working and private office space. I have somebody running my salon. I also have a tax service that's been going for 10 years. But I have been able to be an example to women everywhere and let them know that we can do it. You know, when I went on a Facebook panel, I had Indian women dressed in clothes like, I'm not Kim Kardashian, how do you do it? How do you do it? And I had to let them know, whether you clothed or unclothed, you can do it and it can be done. And a lot of people don't get that. A lot of people don't understand that. And I encourage people, and especially the millennials, I encourage them and I mentor them on getting to their next level in their business. So that's it. That's how I got started.
What were you selling door to door?
With Disney products.
And to the businesses?
Yes.
Like toys?
Yes.
What would the business want with a toy?
Well, and they had children.
Oh, for the okay.
Uh-huh. So
Okay.
you'll go door to door. Sometimes they had
Okay. I get
watches.
it.
Sometimes
Okay.
they had bracelets. Sometimes they had toys. It'd be different products.
So the business owner would take the toys
Yes,
for their kids.
exactly.
Okay.
At one time we had these big old flashlights, and they was this huge, and it's like they piled our whole cart up with it. And I wasn't having a good day, but I was literally on Davidson and Mile. And the next business was a the next business was like a like where they have cars at, you know, the damaged cars, they go smash them or whatever. So I had to approach, junkyard. So I had to approach them, and it was like, okay. And I showed the man, I did my spiel, what have you. He said, how many you have of these? I said, well, I have a whole carload. He said, I want them all.
Wow.
Yes.
That was favorite.
Yes.
Favorite. Absolutely.
Yes. And that's all I asked for.
Especially on days that
Yeah. Yes. Yes. So I always ask for favor in everything that I do. I ask for favor. So and that's more important to me than anything.
That's right.
You know, and it's a survivor technique, that favor. Yes, so that's my story.
I love it.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Yes, and I could go on and on. But it's in my book. I go from the beginning to, it was only, 2,000 words? We only did about 2,000 words. So you got the short version of it and just some of the techniques I use to be what I am today.
Incredible.
Yes.
What's the name of your book?
Go ahead.
Like it's called My Non-Negotiable Lifestyle.
Ooh, I like it.
Kind of like the nerdy gangster.
Yeah.
That's so awesome.
Yes.
That's nerdy gangster.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And it's been 13 years. I have not worked for anybody in 13 years, and I made my first 6-figure income when I was 35 years old.
That's my age now.
Yes.
So,
See, I'm 41.
You know, help me.
A lot of people, they be like, 13 years, what you like, 20? No, I'm 41 years old. Yes, and my daughter is 20. Yes, I'm 41. I'll be 42 in a couple of months.
What's your secret? You guys,
Fruit.
amazing. Amazing. You look beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you.
Oh,
Yes.
Can tell.
Yes.
The beauty shines
Yes.
from within.
Yes.
Let's say
Thank you.
outward and inward.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, it's so
Yes.
funny how
Yeah.
you said you wanted to own a salon, but you don't even do hair.
No, I still don't do hair.
Right, I was gonna say that's just
I
like
have
that's a
some-
gangster right
Yeah.
there.
That's
I
the
wanna
stuff
own
I'm
it.
working on right now. Like I guess I can share this. So I'm working on a franchise from Chick-fil-A. I don't even eat it. But I believe in
You
the,
can own it, right?
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I believe in the vision behind it. I'm also
I
working
should apply for that too.
Yep. So yeah, it's a lot of work. But yeah, so I have a couple hands in the pot and some things that I'm doing as well. And I don't have no intention of doing it at
Yeah.
all. Like I just hire someone to manage it, just get people in there, and that's
Mhm.
it. So
But that's multiple strands of income.
Mhm.
And that's important. And the more you can set it up and sit away from it, I have been out of my salon for over 2 years. I still bring in over 275,000 a year.
yeah.
Just off of that one business. So the more you can set it up, have somebody management and step away.
That's exactly what I'm doing right now. Like trunking and cannabis right now. I don't smoke it, but hey, we can transport it. Hey.
Yes, yes.
But I mean, like what you were saying right before we segue, like you said, okay, it's okay to have the warm and fuzzy, but the empowerment, what are you doing? The
Mhm.
action
Mhm.
part, right?
Mm-hmm.
She's doing that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Right? You said how many braiders? You have 20?
I have
Over
25.
25.
But I mentor over 10 millennials, and I have seen them go from making 50,000 a year in their first year in business.
Just from braiding.
No, not only my braid salon. These are graphic designers and college students. That's millennials. That, like you said, right on that paper, the millennials don't believe in that corporate world.
Yeah.
They believe
Yeah.
in making their own.
Flexibility.
Yes.
But
Period.
because I'm a leader and I understand I'm a leader, I show them properly how to take those next steps. So 50,000 a year, and it's just you and you won't have no children. That's good your first year.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, my first year, 18,000 maybe, and that was a waitress. Struggling. We gonna eat some ramen noodles tonight.
for real, you know how many days I eat ramen noodles?
Listen, I look at them and I can't even stand them. I was like, what about some new? I don't care. I will starve before I eat another ramen noodle.
I'm the same way. I refuse to eat ramen noodles.
I remember one time I went to somebody's house and they had like this salad and it was like it was just crunchy and it was just like it was really good. It had vegetables in it and this. I said, "Girl, what is this?" She says, "Girl, that's ramen noodles." I was like, "What?" It was like in a salad. It was like with,
Wow.
I was like, talk about being creative.
Creative.
I'm like,
Yes.
okay.
Yes.
That's because I was gonna ask for the recipe. I was like, no, that's
When you find out
It's all right.
Wow.
Mm-mm.
Well, I just, we have talked about creativity, we have
Yes.
talked about empowerment, but I think the biggest takeaway from today's goal table is that if anybody out there is listening that feels like I can't do it, that what I'm doing doesn't matter, that I'm not making a difference, you guys are examples to show, to negate that, just dispel that myth. And you know, like what you were talking about with your daughter, how just that situation, which could have been viewed as a negative, but it was actually what was used to propel you to that next level.
Yes.
Right? So, you know, for anybody out there, you're going through a rough spot, you lost your job, you know, having issues with your children, whatever, and you think it's just the end of the world, we are here to tell you, it's not the end, it's just the beginning.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
just the beginning, and guess what? You are about to walk into your calling, into your purpose. So what you gotta do is you gotta get nerdy gangsta,
Yes.
right? You gotta get, because we are nerdy gangsta. That's what we are. And if we can do it, you can do it, right? So I love quotes, and as we end today's session, there's a quote that I just absolutely love from Nelson Mandela, and it says, "It always seems impossible until it's done." we are done. Speaking of done, at the gold table. So that is a wrap. But you know what, ladies? We gotta have a toast. We gotta toast out because this has been so nerdy gangsta.